Lemon Amiga presents a Playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, welcome to another Lemon Amiga Playguide review. This time we'll be taking a look at the 1992 game Apidya, released by Blue Byte, Team 17 and the Keiko Corporation. The game includes an animated storyline which features the evil Lord Hexe and his evil minions, and we see commands an army of evil wasps to attack our hero Ikuro and his girlfriend Yuri. The wasps soon find Yuri tucked up in bed at home, and there they go about their evil doings and make her life miserable. They fail to find Ikuro, but returning home he finds Yuri poisoned by the Lord Hexe, leaving him with only one choice, and that's to seek out the magic antidote to free his girlfriend from the poison. And understandably, at that point, he seeks revenge. So he takes the potion to turn him into a wasp and sets out across the countryside to tackle Lord Hexe and defeat him for good. So as we start the game, the player can press fire to reveal the options screen, and here we must choose our mode of control. I like to use the stick to instigate the power-ups, although automatic upgrades are also useful. 1 up every 20,000 points and 5 lives to begin with. You can see I'm using normal fire, which is really difficult on this game, so now I'm using auto fire to cut my way through the first set of enemies. So as you can see, this game is a vertical side-scrolling shoot-'em-up where we tackle an odd array of wildlife, including wasps, bees, fish later on, and all manner of bugs along the way. The aim of the game is to simply get from one side of the level to the other, and by destroying enemies they will reveal red flowers which you can pick up to increase your power-up potential, as indicated by the weapons bar at the bottom of the screen. And by waggling the joystick I can select that power up when the light is lit. Take a look at this mushroom. By shooting the mushroom it will fire spores, which upon collection will give you an energy shield, and as long as you don't touch any of the enemies between now and the end of the level, that shield will last, and that enables a number of hits to be taken, at least one hit before that shield wears off. And look at these enemies, they really do come thick and fast, and as we shall see later on, they really do take much evasion. But as you can see, the graphics on this game are superb. The copper backgrounds, the detailed designs of the enemies, and the foreground graphics which scroll across the screen. And to back all that up, there is a superb soundtrack as well. So this game certainly does push the Amiga to its graphical limits, and yet the frame rate and the playability is maintained throughout. By collecting this angel when we destroy the first end of level boss, we get to participate in a bonus screen where we must collect these angels and avoid the demons. All we have to do is make sure that your speed power up is at least up to level 3, so you can fly quickly enough to navigate this bonus level, and then simply collect as many angels as possible for a 500 point bonus, and you'll gain an extra life, don't forget, every 20,000 points, so it's worth collecting all those bonuses up. And the lives can be changed. You can have that increase in every 10,000 or at 5,000 points, but I prefer to leave it as it is. So just coming to the end of this bonus round, all you have to do is touch one of the demons, and that's it, game over, and that propels you straight onto the second stage of the first world. There are 5 worlds in this game, beginning with this, the meadow, and it goes on to the pond, the sewers, the chemical plant, and then you get to face 5 bosses in a row at the end. Each one of the levels has its own soundtrack and graphics, and I have to say, looking at these ladybirds, the feel of the game, the playability of the game, the smoothness of the game is highly polished and professional, and I really can't praise this game highly enough. And as I say, the weaponry in this game uses a power-up system, so by collecting those red flowers we can increase the bar, which gets highlighted in red at the bottom. The first one that's flashing there is a speed up icon to increase the player's speed. The next one along gives a bomb which you can fire down or up and down. You can see the bomb is at level 2 at the moment, so it fires up and down. And after that there's 3-way fire, a green laser, a powerful energy ball system, fireballs. You can see I'm on level 2 fireballs at the moment. And you can also have remote drones which fly around the player, and a shield. So I'm just coming up to the second boss now. This is a mole, and you have to wait until the mole starts spitting fireballs at you and coughing up those boulders, and a few strafes of that thing should get rid of it if you have enough firepower. And by going into that hole at the end of the level we can access this, another bonus section where we find these white ghosts floating around and strange purple flowers there to pick up for some more bonuses. It really is a difficult bonus section as this, so it's more than welcome, but at the same time very difficult. And that takes us on to the third stage. There are 3 stages in each world, so this is the last stage in this first world. Perhaps the only downside in this game is whenever you die, you will lose 1 speed power-up and 1 weapons power-up. So if you die twice in quick succession, you'll find yourself all the way back to the start of the level, not only much slower than before, but also with less firepower. And unless you can collect enough flowers to boost that energy up there and get those power-ups, you'll find the levels become increasingly harder the more you die. So here we go again, died twice, and you can see how slow the play speed is, and the player really does have to play all the stops now to get those weapons power-ups. I've no bombs to dispose of these ground-based items, so I'm going to tackle those head-on and avoiding this array of firepower as well. It is certainly possible to memorise these attack waves, but when you have so many bullets flying around the screen, it becomes hard work, and sometimes it definitely takes luck over judgment. And I think there is another bonus stage in this pit, though I won't be checking that out in this review, basically because I need to stay alive and try and get to the end of the level. And I have to praise the level designs and the arrays of enemies in this game, the grasshoppers, the butterflies, the ladybirds, and each level introduces the player to another enemy and another diverse attack pattern, and then all the enemies get completely changed over when you reach the next world. But progress in this game definitely counts on 2 things. Number 1, the player's skill and their ability to memorise these levels, and 2, the firepower the player has managed to acquire. And maybe a third one as well. If the player has auto fire, they will find these levels much easier, and certainly with a standard firepower joystick they will find sore fingers playing this game often enough. But here we are, this is the third boss, Praying Mantis, and as long as you have at least 1 fireball upgrade, which you can say I have, you can more or less lay straight into that thing and blow it up. And I'd certainly love to see a 3D remake of this game, even if it looks like Honey I Shrunk the Kids. But in the meantime, on to World 2, and as you see, this is the pond level, and our hero can fly above and below the water. We must destroy the larvae and the water fleas to gain a few more flowers, which lead to power-ups. And at the beginning of this second level, it more or less enables the player to power themselves up to some kind of level, which the player will definitely need over this world, as the enemies and the odd array of obstacles, you can see I'm negotiating seeds there, they will all be harder and it will take much more firepower to knock out, even with power-ups. So it's probably easiest to avoid the water for the most part, although once the player gets to memorise the level, they will know when to dip into the water and when to launch themselves out of it again. Maybe avoiding the seeds is one of the hardest aspects because they appear at random, and these things, if you burst these bubbles, you'll get larvae attacking you, which act as homing missiles, and you have to really get rid of them quickly. If you don't explode those bubbles, then the larvae won't attack you, but if the screen's already busy and you end up pressing fire anyway, those will blow up. So sometimes it's easier just to get rid of those early, and the pond skater will fire a random array of missiles in our direction. He can't be blown up, so you have to avoid all those. And all these pond skaters and water beetles. This really is a fun level, although as I say, it does take time to memorise these attack patterns to progress. And here we go, this is the, looks like a water snake, and he really does take quite some firepower to knock out at this stage. Luckily with a double fireball power up, we can just about make it. And as you can hopefully see, this game really is difficult once you reach the second world, and there are 5 worlds in the game. I've only ever reached the 3rd world, and that's after practicing this game for 20 years. So look at all these enemies. Sometimes you don't know what to get rid of. It's best to just lay into everything and hope that you avoid everything, and if you don't, you go back. The player will generally start within a few screens of where they died, or if they've just set off from the beginning of the level, they will return to the beginning of the level. But as I say, the most important part is to get those power-ups, because without those power-ups, I am on a single firepower now and a bomb, which makes play increasingly more difficult the less firepower you have. So I really am going to have to try my best now on this game, play my absolute best, otherwise it's going to be game over pretty soon. And a note about the music in this game was created by Chris Hulsbeck, who actually created the music for R-Type as well on the Amiga, as well as BC Kid, the Great Guiana Sisters, The Secrets of Monkey Island 1, which I was surprised about, and the Turrican series, of course, Turrican 1, 2 and 3. Excellent music by Chris Hulsbeck, and every level has its own music. And it's also worth saying that the music was actually performed live by an orchestra at Leipzig, Germany in 2003, and also in Sweden in 2006. And a variant is also available on the CD album Symphonic Shades by Chris Hulsbeck, available through his website. Certainly recommend that. So look at this, I'm avoiding all these multiple pathways here. Some of them lead to dead ends, which you can only figure out by trial and error, and I'm anticipating a huge onslaught of enemies. I can't see any at the moment. And look at this, gives me milliseconds to get out of the way of those things, and very, very little room to maneuver. So firepower definitely at premium. So let's just get rid of this fireball spitting lobster and get to the 3rd stage of this pond level. And so this game was coded and designed by Peter Thierolf, who went on to design Turrican 3 in '93 and Mr. Nuts for Ocean in 1994, and additional design and the graphics were all produced by Frank Matzke, who also did Gem X in 1991, so you can certainly see the anime similarities there in those games. And he also did the Dungeons of Avalon series, those PD games, which were released on cover discs. So Frank Matzke, very great graphics. Additional coding by Kai Tuber and Matthias Ensman, and Matthias also went on to do Turrican 3 as well. And all those guys I've just mentioned are German, so this was designed in Germany. And even though the game opens with Japanese style writing and an anime kind of feel to it, this is a German game. The word Apidia actually comes from Latin Apidae, which is the family name for the wasps and bees subspecies. And looking at the scores, CU Amiga gave this 80%, Amiga Power gave this 91%, Amiga Format gave this 91%, and Amiga Joker gave it 91%. This game was rated 11th in the Amiga Power all-time top 100, only missing out there by 1 place. And the biggest criticisms were obviously the level of difficulty, which in this game, if you die a number of times, is tedious. So here we go, this is the end of level boss in the second world, and it's a pike, and what we have to do is shoot that thing in the eye, and that will deplete its energy reserves, and hopefully that will knock it out eventually. You can see I'm on single firepower still, having died a number of times, and it really is difficult to get rid of this thing. I have no idea how you're supposed to do it. You can fly above and below this animal, and all it will do is back you into a corner and kill you to death a number of times. And if I was filming stuff right now, I'd be certainly complaining that this is a level from hell, or a boss battle from hell, because you can't shoot the damn thing because the eye's on the other side of the screen. By the time that thing moves back again, you're under attack, and you can be caught out so easily. That certainly is a boss from hell, and I've rarely ever got past that boss. If you select to continue, you'd expect to continue on the boss level, but no, that takes you all the way back to the beginning of World 2 again. So this is how you're supposed to do the boss. You're supposed to go the top way and get into that corner there, and as it moves around you can take on these enemies again if you have the firepower to do so. And even though this is with the firepower, it's still not possible to do so. So let's just get around that thing and try and get back to the mouth area. And there's also a special bonus game available on this level. Should you let the fish swallow you up, the screen will change. We'll enter a special bonus level where you fly into its stomach and blow it up from in there. But look at this, absolutely impossible. Once you've killed that enemy, it respawns and you can't hit it with this firepower, and you find two enemies. If you manage to destroy the first one like this, then the fish simply backs you into a corner, and when it leaves again it respawns the same enemy, so you have to get rid of it again before returning to the eye. And given enough firepower and enough perseverance, you should be able to knock it out. But yeah, a boss from hell. If by some miracle the player manages to find themselves on the third world, they will find this tour of the tunnels in a sewer, and you'll find the usual sewer culprits here, including wasps and bees, rats, and smoke there coming from poison, and drain pipes. And you'll also find toxic smoke appearing from cigarette packets, which you must avoid. And eventually you'll find a dead rat, which upon blowing up will reveal maggots, which need to be disposed of, and they'll fire a hail of firepower, which makes life impossible. And that's as far as I've ever got in this game. But further on you will find soldiers floating around in paper boats, an enemy that appears out of a Coke can, as well as product placement there. Is probably the only Coke can enemy in the world. A doll which fires lasers out of its eyeballs, and after that you'll find a technological level which is pretty similar to R-Type in many ways as well, before finding the end of level boss, which looks similar to a crab and is armor plated and just as hard to take out. And then you'll find an alien boss which looks a bit like the aliens, and then you will find 5 bosses in a row. The pufferfish boss, which materializes into 3 enemies together, a vampire bat who flies around in circles, a clam who has looks like a 4 megawatt pulse laser in that damn thing, and an alien which looks like Alien Syndrome. And eventually you'll find the end of world boss, which is a huge bee or a huge wasp there, which you have to take on and wipe out. And I'm sure most players haven't seen that before. So thanks for viewing my play guide review to the legendary Amiga classic Apidya. Hope you enjoyed it.